Joining us now is Dr. Jeffrey Kassinove, a psychologist and the co-founder of Therapy West. So, Doctor, I really appreciate you having you on tonight because there's a lot of questions amid this pandemic apart from the coronavirus itself, especially when it comes to mental health. I want to start by asking, when it comes to mental health, is it tied to the economy at all? It's something that I thought was maybe common sense. It just kind of added up in the past, but now it's being questioned a little bit. So is there truth to that idea that mental health is tied to your economic status?
I think it's a great question. Humans love to make predictions, and I think right now our predictions are a little bit muddied, and we're not sure what the future may hold. So, we know that when people are feeling optimistic, they're likely to spend more. They might buy a bigger car or invest in a bigger house or do a shopping spree. And when they're not feeling optimistic and their emotions are more about kind of based on anxiety, we tend to recoil and try to hold on to money and not spend. So it certainly is related.
Yeah, I think you're right to say that. I'm not in the prediction business, of course, but when you look back at different crises in the past, too, the response when it comes to mental health, as we were talking about, the numbers aren't always there when it comes to these crises, but you could look at suicide levels, for example, and they differ depending on the crisis. It differs depending, as you were saying, especially the outlook coming after that. So I don't think that it's always fair to compare each crisis to another one. But when it comes to the idea of mental health, it seems like it's one of those topics that is picking up a little bit. Maybe it's just getting more media coverage. Maybe there's more factors that are playing into it, but is there an idea or is there any evidence to suggest that right now there are more mental health concerns than there were in the past?
So we know that in general, adults, about 1 in 5 have a mental health disorder within the past year. Children, typically, it's about 1 in 6. And certainly with the coronavirus and this social isolation, we're showing, some significant data that it's increasing. And I think to some degree, there's some expectation that it's normal to feel this way and to feel increases of anxiety and depression because of what's going on in America and in the world.
I think that's an interesting point because there is a difference to note between someone just having negative feelings about something, or someone actually having cases of depression, anxiety, stress, things like that. There are differences. It's okay to feel emotions, but it's when those emotions sometimes drive your actions in a way that could be unhealthy to yourself or others. So when we see what's going on right now amid lockdown orders, for example, what should people be looking out for? Is it things like anxiety, stress, as you were mentioning?
So certainly those are signs that we're always looking out for. Usually we look at things that when things are happening consistently for 2 weeks or more. So people not sleeping well, showing soft signs of depression, being more reclusive, not wanting to reach out to other friends or family. But again, some of this is expected because this coronavirus has really caused us to act very differently and certainly be on top of each other with regard to our family. But when it's going on for the long term and we're not adapting is when we should be concerned.
And even in the short term, what you're talking about, it's hard for people to find the escape that they usually find from other problems that they normally face with. For example, you can't just go to the gym the same way that you were able to in the past. You can't go to work to get your mind off of things. You're kind of trapped in a situation where you're forced to think about nothing else except for the situation that you're in because you're being told to do just that. You're being incentivized to do just that. So during this time, do you have any advice for people who may be facing those type of hardships, those type of questions, in order to keep mentally healthy?
So, one of the things that we're recommending a lot is that people really try to maintain a schedule, waking up at a similar time every day, having breakfast with your family every day, taking a walk either alone, right, or with your family. You want to keep a schedule because that's when we sort of keep having this reoccurring every Sunday in our pajamas that we don't want to see happen. We want to get dressed and shower and do things. And it's also really important that we are reaching out with other friends and doing these Zoom calls and other kind of virtual calls, but also having some distance as well is important because I can certainly tell you that, a lot of people are calling me and they're saying sometimes that they can't get away from all of these Zoom calls, that every room they go to, one of their family members is on a Zoom call and they can't escape. So there's that part as well. We want to have a good balance.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, the idea of having a routine is something we kind of take for granted until you are broken out of that routine. Everything that you're used to is kind of thrown to the side. I saw someone on Twitter the other day say just a funny comment that their goal right now is just to get in business casual clothes by 10 a.m. That's their idea of getting in a routine, getting out of their pajamas, as you were saying, because that's when you do kind of start losing track of what day it is, what responsibilities you have, and then you're forced to only think about the bad things. So I think that's really good advice during these times. Dr. Kassinove, I can't thank you for coming on on, really breaking down this really important issue right now that seems to be affecting millions of Americans. I really appreciate it. Thank you.